Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
What happened? My music disappeared. There we go. Welcome to another live stream. Legends, here on a lazy Sunday afternoon. Currently 2:15 in the afternoon in South Africa. Let's do a little bit of technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. Sorry, I'm stuffing up the music here in the background. Anyways, Legends, what a drop. What a drop. Okay, what a drop. I must say, I did not anticipate this drop because I was expecting a drop, but I wanted price to go a little bit higher over here. Okay, because during my last live stream, we spoke about, well, what if this is going to form a larger three-wave structure? Okay, but I was kind of hoping or anticipating a little bit of a larger bounce before we got the drop here to the downside, and I was specifically looking at claiming these highs, then reject where you form an A, B, and then we fall down in a C wave. So this little dip over here, where it rejected over here, was a little bit confusing. As technical analysts, we don't always get it right. Okay, and for those of you that do remember, I had an entry over here on Bitcoin. Okay, and I got stopped out at break even. Okay, got stopped out. It is what it is, right? I was looking for a couple of long entries over here based on some levels, and I think I got stopped out another 2 times during Friday when the drop just continued to the downside, and then I just left it. Okay, now let's analyze what is cooking over here, because I do see a lot of questions from a lot of people saying that, Dewald, when we look at this entire structure, do you guys remember from this little low, okay, from this low to the high, Well, now there's a problem over here. There's a little bit of a problem because we were expecting at least a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now there's a problem. Do you guys remember the problem that I highlighted during the previous live stream? Okay, we tapped the invalidation for a fifth wave. Okay, so not great, legends. We wanted this to be the 3-wave structure. This looked like a 5-wave structure. Form a higher low and continue. Let's go and complete the damn 5-wave structure. This is what the bulls wanted to see. Now here is the problem. We tapped the 0.618, which is an invalidation for a 4th wave. Now, the question on everyone's mind, can we still go up? Okay, that is now the question on everyone's mind. Was this the high? And now we are going to continue momentum here to the downside. And this is what I thought about over the weekend and yesterday. And I thought, let me do a quick little live stream today just to discuss a couple of the scenarios that we need to keep in mind now that the invalidation has been tapped for another move here to the upside. Okay, so the one scenario that we discussed, and I will go through the comments in a little while, so thanks for joining the stream. Okay, I'm diving here head straight into the technical analysis, but that's what you guys are here for. Okay, you're sacrificing your Sunday to come and listen to all boring Dewald here on a Sunday afternoon instead of spending it with time with some friends and family, or sitting outside in the sun, maybe having a barbecue. You are now watching me here on YouTube, okay, doing a little bit of technical analysis, but I think it's important, guys. I might not have time to do a live stream tomorrow. I have a very jam-packed week, and so I thought, you know, based on this drop, I see the fear. We didn't anticipate it, and as technical analyst, I must admit we don't always get it right, okay. I was expecting, okay, definitely a 3-wave corrective structure that can continue, but I wanted this pivot to go higher as per the analysis that I even shared with the Legends Pro community. It was very strange that we rejected over here and then we got the fall here to the downside. But nonetheless, my positions were protected. I got stopped out. Okay, so now we need to, based on the new information that we have, we now need to say, well, okay, what now? Right? Is this now creating impulses to the downside, or is this still corrective to the downside, even though the invalidation got tapped? Is there still a chance to go and claim this high, or is it only down from here? You know, we need to now assess the probabilities based on the new information that we have. Okay, right, legends, and that is why it's so goddamn important to trade with stop losses, right? I'm still in my swing trades. I got stopped out of the Bitcoin trade. I'm still in my swing trades on all the altcoins. The only trade I got stopped out of all my altcoins was Theta. I got stopped out of Theta because I protected my position, had my stop loss a little bit higher, and I got stopped out of the Theta trade. But the Theta trade wasn't really a swing trade to me. It was a day trade that turned into a swing trade and then got stopped out with a little bit of profits, not a lot. I should have taken way more profits with that Theta trade. But it is what it is, right, legends? We lick our wounds and now we carry on. Okay, that is why risk management is so important. Okay, so the one scenario that I wanted to discuss, okay, here on the 4-hour time frame, let's just look at this entire structure. I might have to go here to the 8-hour time frame. Okay, this is now the question on everyone's mind. Can we still go and claim this high? Okay. And the one structure that I spoke about during my previous live stream was this one. Okay, so now, unfortunately, this scenario is gaining in probabilities. Okay, so yes, there is still a chance that you can come and claim this high, even though you've invalidated the 4th wave from an impulsive perspective. This is referred to an ending diagonal. An ending diagonal has to have 3-wave structures inside of each wave to the upside and to the downside. After your 5th wave is complete, you're then looking to go into a bear market. Okay, so unfortunately, this scenario is now on the cards and we need to start looking at it. One of the things that I like with these ending diagonals is that you want the fourth wave to go into the territory of 1. It has to go into the territory of 1. It's preferred, which it did. It tapped the highs. Okay, if you go and draw a horizontal line, you'll see it tapped the highs. Let's just make double sure. Okay, let's zoom in. Let's snap on a horizontal using the magnet and just make sure. Okay, so on the exchange that I use, well, we did tap it. Okay, we did tap the highs. You can see over there. Right. So let's just zoom out here. In an ending diagonal, like I said, all waves has to be 3-wave structures. This structure can be counted as an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a C wave. So basically an A, B, C. Then you have a 3-wave structure in a 2. And you now have a 3-wave structure in a 3. And for now, you do have a 3-wave structure in a 4. And you can go up and form another 3-wave structure in a 5. And then all hell breaks loose and we start a bear market here to the downside. Right, so this scenario, guys, is not the greatest scenario because it could mean that we are going to have a very, very short-lived bull market, but we could still get nice momentum to the upside. And if dominance drops while Bitcoin climbs here to the upside, we could still get a little bit of an altcoin season party. Not as glamorous as we wanted, but we could still get some of our, and that's why I still have my swing trades open, because I do realize that this scenario is still very much valid. And it actually balances beautifully. Okay. Right, so legends, this is a scenario that we need to keep in mind. And I will talk about the most bearish case scenario as well. Okay, because I did see some questions around the most bearish case scenario where people are saying, well, Dewald, what if this is the high? And we are now building impulses to the downside, and we're not going to make this little fifth wave over here. Okay, we're going to talk about that scenario now, but this is the first scenario that I wanted to talk about that is now unfortunately gaining in probabilities, but there is still a little bit of momentum left here to the upside. In a ending diagonal, ideally your fifth wave should not be longer than your third wave. Okay, so what I would be very interested in is, if price continues momentum here to the upside, you take your trend-based fib and now you measure your third wave from the low to the high. And now you put it at the bottom of 4. So this means if this contracting diagonal is going to play out, price should not tap $36,800. It should reject by the 0.618786. This is very common fifth wave targets in an ending diagonal, and it should move up in a 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3-wave corrective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly what happened over here. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 3-wave corrective structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly the same way, but it's a 3-wave structure. It's a 3-wave structure. Rejects at $131,000. Bull market's over. And then we can think about selling our spot bags. Maybe the pi cycle indicator is not going to flash this time around. And okay, it is what it is. For the first time in history, the data is going to break itself. The 4-year cycle is going to invalidate itself. Because I don't think there's no ways that the pi cycle indicator can flash if the fifth wave is going to end here at $131,000. Okay. I will talk about the what if scenario. What if Bitcoin does go to $150,000, $170,000, right? Because the market is here to surprise us. We all know that. This little drop surprised me. This little drop surprised me because I wanted, okay, it looked like a 3-wave corrective, a completed structure. You wanted to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wanted to see that fifth wave to invalidate this damn structure. And now we've tapped the invalidation. Okay, so unfortunately, this scenario does now carry a higher probability. Right, so now, legends, there is an insane bullish case scenario that has not been invalidated. It looks very strange, but I know the market is here to surprise us. We will talk about that scenario as well. So this is the one scenario that I'm looking at. So Can the fourth wave, guys? So something that I just want to highlight over here is that price can still dip a little bit lower, but you don't want the structure to be an expanding structure. Okay, so the invalidation for this structure, if price still continues to fall, okay, there's an invalidation that's going to invalidate another fifth wave here to the upside. So to keep that simple is you take a parallel channel, you connect 1 with 3. You drag it down to number 2. You take a little line, okay, a trend line. This is how I like to do it. And you put it over here, okay. You just put it here on the line, the parallel channel line. And what I like to do is I make it red, make it nice and thick. I make it solid. And I put a little word in there that says invalidation. Okay, now I can take the mess out the chart, so I can take the parallel channel at the chart. So, if price continues momentum here to the downside, okay, and it taps the invalidation, I'm going to throw this scenario in the bin. So, ideally, what you would like to see is that if price still wants to continue a little bit lower, it needs to find its feet in this zone, okay, and then I will simply just drag this line a little bit, but it should not be a parallel channel. Okay, ending contracting diagonal. As soon as it taps the line, is not a contracting diagonal anymore. So either 4 is in, or we're going to still make one more low without tapping the invalidation. Right, cool. So, legends, definitely a scenario. Can throw this in the folder. Something that we need to keep in mind. Okay, so now I can switch this off. Let me go through some comments. I just want to see, guys, let me know in the comments, how do you guys feel? Are you scared? Do you feel the bull market's still going to continue? Okay, what is the sentiment like at the moment? Stefan1, welcome to the live stream. Yes, sir. Either way, legends can still make good gains and money. Yes, definitely. I mean, from a day trading perspective, I can tell you now, okay, from a day trading where I get in and out of Bitcoin on a daily basis, I don't care where the price goes, whether it goes up or whether it goes down, okay, whether it ranges like it did over here, I can make money, okay. I don't need a bull market to make money. I just need the price to move. I need volatility, okay? Because inside of these little small structures, I can count 5-wave structures, 3-wave structures, point of controls, daily levels, shorter dailies, longer weeklies, whatever your day trading plan is. Okay, from the swing trades that I have open on some of my favorite altcoins, well, ideally, I still want price to move up a little bit higher so that I can maximize the profits with those positions. But I have protected all those positions, and if I get stopped out, at least, you know, I'm going to be stopped out at break even, and I will look for entries a little bit further down. Jack, welcome to the live stream. Can't we be formed? Yes, 112. Yes, Jack, I'm going to talk about the most bullish case scenario in a moment. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Yes, we can. I am bullish. The reason is the solution for the deficit in M2. Yes, I mean M2 money. I think I deleted it over here. I'm not going to put it back now, but I know the M2 money flow is absolutely gunning to the upside, and Bitcoin is lagging behind. So definitely there is still a chance for upwards momentum, guys. It's not game over as per the thumbnail. That's why I put a question mark. Is it game over? Okay, when you get it, guys, I mean, just look at where we are, right? Bitcoin is at all-time highs. We have seen a little pullback. This is a little pullback, guys. We are still making higher highs and higher lows. The structure is still bullish. Even if price comes down a little bit further, you are still forming higher lows. Okay, so the trend is still up. Right. Okay, but I do see a lot of questions about the bearish case scenarios. We didn't get the fifth wave to the upside. Can the bull market be coming to an end? And these are some of the scenarios that I want to talk about. So let's quickly talk about the most bearish case scenario. Okay, I want to issue a disclaimer for the most bearish case scenario. And maybe let me draw it out first, and then I'll issue the disclaimer. And the disclaimer is in the lines of, it's not so bad. Okay, because in this most insane bearish case scenario that I'm about to share with you, the correction has actually started on the 9th of April already. And you might be saying, how on earth did the correction start on the 9th of April if price is still moving up? Okay, which is a good sign, because it could mean, okay, that the bear market, if we are going into a bear market and the bear market has started on the 9th of April, and it's going to break the pi cycle 4-year cycle theory and the pi cycle indicator, okay, maybe this is a way that it's going to do it. So let's just paint out the scenario, guys. Let's just paint it out. Okay, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 waves here to the upside, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is an A, B flat, and now we're going down for a C. Okay, this is the most bearish case scenario. I do not give this scenario the highest probability, but we need to talk about it. Okay, I want, guys, if price aggressively just drops here to the downside, okay, if price just decides it doesn't want to stop, it takes the low, okay, it invalidates this little bullish structure, and it starts making a lower low compared to this structure. It goes back up, it makes a lower high, and it just continues the downtrend here to the downside. I want us to be prepared for this scenario, okay? And I'm not giving the scenario the highest probability, but it's not invalidated. Okay, so the reason A, B, okay, wait, the correction, guys, sorry, correction, I need to correct myself. The correction actually started on the 20th of Jan, because when you form an ABC, let's do this, okay, guys, this is the most bearish case scenario, not the highest probability, but we need to talk about it because, you know, when Bitcoin takes a dump, everyone thinks the bear market is here. So let's talk about the bear market, right? So after you formed 5 waves to the upside, you could form an A, B flat that takes the high, and then you go down for a 5-wave structure in a C. But all of this is part of your correction. So your correction actually started in January. So what I like to then do is my all trusty time fib. I take a time fib here from the lows to the high of the 5th wave, and guys, there's a chance that if this scenario plays out, and this was the top, and all of this is part of the corrective structure, it means that the correction could be done in November, by the end of November this year, because the correction already started in Jan. So talking about invalidating the 4-year cycle, it's not all doom and gloom, guys, because this could be a corrective structure that finishes by the end of the year, and then next year we have a bull market again. Can you see that the pi cycle indicator, or the 4-year theory, can be invalidated also in a bullish sense, where yes, we still get the drop, okay, but yeah, it finds support and it continues in a 1, 2, 3 year to the upside, where this is going to be the most insane bull market that you've ever seen, because after you form a 1 and a 2, you get a 3 to the upside, and that's the most explosive, okay, crazy wave that you get to the upside. So maybe until the end of the year, if this scenario had to play out, okay, you at least want the low to be made after the 0.382. The bad news is it can overextend, okay, to at least the 1-to-1 extension, which is a perfect ratio between the impulse and the correction. And the 1-to-1 extension is, you know, end of next year. So yes, it can still carry on, but it's not common for a C wave to take that long. If A is in and B is in, and now we're going in for a C wave. C waves are very aggressive, very explosive to the downside. Okay, So here between this little box is where I see the C wave coming to an end, and then you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do not give the scenario the highest probability, like I've highlighted, okay? But, you know, we need to keep it in mind, because from a trend line or a B-flat perspective, from a B-flat perspective, you take your trend base fib from the high of 5 to the low of A, you drag it across, you reverse it to the upside. B-flat has not been invalidated, and this is why I'm still talking about this scenario. Okay, this, ladies and gentlemen, is B-flat paradise. It rejected beautifully inside of B-flat targets. So there's a chance that price could, yeah, in a C wave, but what you want to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has to form an impulsive structure to the downside. The reason I don't give this scenario the highest probability is because this leg to the upside took the high. It is not common for the initial three-wave structure to take the high, and then the next push up obviously took the highest. What's most common, okay, let me rephrase myself. What is most common is you want to see a three-wave structure that does not take the high, 1, 2, and then the third wave up takes the high. So it's a very ugly B wave structure, but I cannot invalidate it because it's in the box. You can count this as an A wave to the downside. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a three-wave structure, of which a B wave needs to be a three-wave structure. It's not allowed to be a five-wave structure. And at the moment, yeah, on the daily time frame, well, this does look like a three-wave structure. Okay, now what you want to see is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, anyways. But now there's also a little bit of a problem inside of the structure, because you need to count impulsive waves to the downside. Okay, so the reason I don't give the scenario the highest probability is because the first leg up took the high. It doesn't invalidate it, but it's damn ugly. It's not something that you see often. Okay, right. And then the second reason I don't give the scenario the highest probability is when you go here onto the 4-hour time frame and you focus on this little structure, you need to form impulses to the downside. Okay, so the first thing I look for is you need to form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get that. We went sideways. Okay, then you need to start looking at diagonals. Okay, and this is something that I spoke about. I'm not sure if I spoke to you guys about it, but let me just clean up some of these things. Okay, so let's talk about a diagonal. You need to form 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, and maybe this is your 5th wave. Right, so let's do the channel thing again. Like I've shown everyone, it needs to be contracting. Remember, you connect number 1 and number 3, you drag it to number 2, and you can see, well, it did not tap the top of the channel. Number 4 did not tap the top of the channel. So there's a chance, okay, it's not pretty, where you formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get an ABC back to the upside, and this becomes 1. This is your three-wave structure up in a number 2, and then you fall aggressively to the downside in a 3rd wave. It must be said that the 3rd wave, this little wave, very, very confusing inside of the structure. This looks pretty, okay? You have a nice impulse here to the downside, 1. You have a nice 3-wave corrective structure in 2. And then this is where the mess starts. It is very difficult for me to count 5 waves inside of this 3rd wave. 1, guys, it just doesn't make sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you guys, it's a mess. This is a mess. And this is why I'm not giving the scenario the highest probability. Okay. So For me, it is difficult to count an impulse to the downside, three-wave corrective structure, and continuation to the downside. So in that most bearish case scenario, you want to see a clean impulse of structure to the downside. And this is not clean, guys. This makes sense. This does not make sense to me at all. Okay, number 3 is it's also very long compared to 1. And yeah, I mean, now this starts making sense. Well, also this doesn't make sense because this looks like a 5-wave structure in a number 4. And then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe you're going to still make one more low, go back for an ABC. It's not a pretty impulsive structure to the downside. But, okay, I'm just showing you guys why I don't like the bearish case scenario. Okay, so let me take this out the way. Right, it does make sense. Okay, not a high chance this one. Yes, I agree with you, not a high chance. It's all noise, terrorists, World War III, we pumped every time after the so-called fundamentals. Definitely, right, definitely. So, legends, the most bullish case scenario, okay? Let's talk about the most bullish case scenario, because I can tell you guys now, yes, is there a chance that this is a 1 and we're going to form a 2 and then we're just going to fall here to the downside? There's a chance, but it's a low chance. It's a low probability. Okay? Based, I would say from a technical perspective, based on what has formed here so far, it is still corrective. There's a much higher chance that this is still corrective and you are still going to take out this high before you take out this low. And this is the same song that I have been singing for the last couple of weeks. Okay, I said, guys, if we invalidate the 5th wave here to the upside, okay, this was now the one that got invalidated. Yes, I agree. Okay, we were counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we invalidated the 4th wave. But based on this structure, there is still a higher chance to take out the high before we take out this low. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, still counts way better as a corrective structure. Very overlappy, okay? The waves going into each other. I cannot clearly count an impulse here to the downside for a proper reversal. So this is why I still have my swing trades open. And perhaps, you know, the one scenario that I've highlighted over here is, where's that one? Here we go. Okay, maybe this is another scenario. This scenario carries way higher probability than the most bearish case scenario that I've just spoken about. Okay, so even based on this scenario, which carries higher probability, you can see that the probabilities are still higher to take out the high before you take out the low. Can you guys see? Because if you tap the invalidation, okay, this scenario goes in the bin, but you know, there's still a chance, guys. 3-wave, 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 3-wave. The bull market is done. So now we have to also talk about, well, Dewald, what if? What if? Okay, it's always that what if. It just doesn't stop. What if it just doesn't stop? And it taps the 1-to-1 extension. Well, then this scenario is also invalidated. Okay, and this is now the thing that I've been racking my brain about, is to say that, well, can we still move up from here? And I do see that there are people talking about double 1-2 combos. Yes, and that is the most bullish case scenario that I have on the cards, but based on technicals, I cannot give it the highest probability. But I'm hoping that this probability will play out and it will give us that amazing altcoin season and the bull run that we are all expecting. So perhaps the market makers are not going to make it easy, but it's the scenario of you have formed 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, let's do this, guys. It's going to be easier, just quicker to draw it out with a pen. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have a corrective structure. So now this is 1 and this is 2. Then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have another 1 and you have a 3-wave corrective structure. So this could be a double 1-2 combo that has formed successfully over here. And then what needs to happen over here is it needs to rock and roll here to the upside in an explosive move with high volume needs to start kicking in. I just want to put a little bit of a disclaimer out there. If this is forming a double 1-2, okay, 1-2, 1-2, this can still go lower, guys. It can still take this low. It doesn't have to rock and roll from here. Okay, so what I like to do is to take a fib from this low to the high. Let's just get it in on there. Okay, remember, it's now tapped the 0.618 to perfection. That's where we got the bounce. Price can still go down because this could now be an A, this is a B, and now this is forming a C to the downside. Inside of your C wave, you need 5 waves. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but you don't want to go lower than the 786. Right, so it can form a 1-2, 1-2, and then it rock and roll, and it just lifts, it blasts to the upside. That is the most bullish case scenario. Okay, why can I not give it the highest probability? Because in double 1-2 combos, ideally what you want to see is a large 1-2, and then the second 1-2 becomes smaller. And if there's a third 1-2, it becomes even smaller, and then it rock and rolls. So it usually starts contracting. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then it flies. And now you can see that this 1-2, okay, is much bigger than this 1-2. So you now basically have a scenario of a 1-2, 1-2, 1. Do you guys see? So it's not an invalidation, but it does impact the probabilities. The one thing that the bulls do have going for them is insane bullish CVD. It's insanely, guys. If I go here onto the 1 hour, okay, and I never go past the 1 hour, it's my maximum time frame that I like to use on CVD. But you can see that if I look at this structure, from this pivot to where price is now, it is absolutely insanely bullish. Okay, look at this, higher high on price action, and bullish CVD is absolutely still tanking here to the downside. This shows massive absorption of shorts by smart money. So someone with a large amount of cash, I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars, is absorbing the shorts here to the downside. They still want price to go higher, and the target for this bullish CVD, ladies and gentlemen, is the high. That's the target. Okay, so just have to put that out there. And based on CVD, okay, and that's why I'm saying, guys, the probabilities are still higher to claim the high before we claim the low. Right, it is very difficult to count a impulsive structure inside of, I'm still in the camp of this is corrective. This is corrective, okay? I'm still in that camp because it just counts way better as a corrective structure. Right, so now let's go on to the 1 hour time frame. Can you guys see, I'm going step by step, taking my time with each scenario to see, well, can we still expect upwards momentum? What does the probabilities look like? Okay, and now we're going to dive into this little structure over here, because we got a bounce at a very interesting level that I did highlight to the Legends Pro community last night. Okay, but before I do, guys, if you're interested in trading, you want the biggest bonuses and lowest trading fees, the exchanges that I use, always down in the description. I've got Bluffin, where I still got my swing trades open. BTCC up to $10,000 sign up bonus. Weeks, 25% discount on your trading fees. Okay, so here are the links, also your way to support the channel so that I can continue coming here, bringing you guys the alpha as often as I can. Right, also remember to smash up the like button if you haven't done so already. So now we need to focus on this little structure, okay? And then we can go through some comments. Hello, Dewald, welcome to the live stream. I see you all here on a lazy Sunday. Thanks for joining me here on a Sunday. Could 1-2 started in April? Okay, you're looking at the 1-2 from way down lower, okay? But there's a, okay. I know some people are looking at this. Okay, let's just get this one out the way quickly. Okay, I know that some people are saying, well, what if this is a 1-2 and this is a 1-2 and now we are going to absolutely fly here to the upside? I'm not saying we can't, okay? It does look better because you have a smaller 1-2. It really does look better. And I don't want to say that it's invalidated, but this, guys, looks like a 3-wave structure to the upside. That's why I was still hoping for the 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can come down and say 1, 2, 1, 2. But now there's your problem, okay? It looks incredibly like a 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. Okay, unless you're counting that as your 4th wave. So I can't invalidate it because, yes, this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2. Then the invalidation for this 1, 2 is this low. Okay, so it can still go down $101,000, $102,000 and then explode to the upside. The problem that I see, this is the problem. It looks like a 3-wave structure. Okay, you want to count a clear impulse with a beautiful 4-wave structure that at least matches the duration of that 4th wave over here. That is extremely small compared to that correction over there. But can you count it as a 5-wave structure? Yes, you can force count a 5-wave structure in there. I'm not going to say it's not possible because I know the market is here to surprise us. It just doesn't look pretty. Okay, remember, guys, this is your 4th wave. Okay, this is your 4th wave. Okay, and this, your 2nd wave. Sorry, this is your 2nd wave. So what I like to do is I take a time fib. Okay, let's just zoom into the structure so I can get the levels right. I take a time fib and I go and measure, okay, how long did this correction take? And how long did this one take? So here's your problem, guys. You have a 1, 2. Okay, and this 2nd wave and this 4th wave was made before the minimum target, which gives the structure higher probability that it's a 3-wave structure and not a 5-wave structure. It's an incredibly short 4th wave. Okay, did not even tap the minimum target for a 4th wave, and usually your 4th waves are longer than your 2nd waves. So I can't give the scenario the highest probability. Okay, I can't invalidate it, but I can't give it a high probability. So based from a technical perspective, guys, I know that some people are saying that, well, this is a 1, 2, 1, 2. It's just this looks like a 3-wave structure and it has to be a 5-wave structure. Can you force count 5 waves in here? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's not pretty. Okay, so yes, then your invalidation becomes $98,000 for the structure. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I would rather look at this as a double 1, 2. Okay, so the way that I prefer to approach the market over years, I would rather say, well, okay, then this is a 1. This is a 2, and we are still gunning for that explosive 3rd wave there to the upside. Okay, I would rather look at this structure. Oh, sorry guys, sorry, I'm losing my marbles. I would rather look at this structure, okay, as building up, because now you could potentially be busy with that 3rd wave. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that makes sense. That makes more sense, although it's still not pretty. But if you're going to build an explosive 3rd wave to the upside, it makes sense to build double, triple 1, 2s so you can get that explosive momentum to the upside. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, maybe another 1, 2, 1, 2, it's just 1, 2s, and then all of a sudden you get that rocket that just doesn't stop. Okay, that makes sense inside of a 3rd wave. So I would rather look at this structure as a double 1, 2 than considering this structure as a double 1, 2. Hope that makes sense. Okay, because this looks very 3-wavy. Can you count 5 waves in there? Yes, you have to force count them, but you can. It's just technically it doesn't look great, but you can force count a 5-wave structure in there. Right, there are no indicators point for top for now. We are going minimum 150. I agree, Mickey. Okay, I have shared my bias, and some people don't like it, especially guys. The crypto market is extremely over emotional. Like, it never ceases to amaze me. You get a dump, we're on a bear market. You get a pump, we're going to $500,000. The people heavily overreact inside of these. I mean, this little dump created massive fear, extreme fear. And this is something that I also mentioned in the pro community yesterday, is to say, guys, I have not seen so much fear in such a short amount of time with this small little dump here to the downside. It's over. Okay, cash out your altcoins. It's alt season is cancelled. We're going into a bear market. People like really overreact inside of the crypto market. It's guys, the market structure is still intact. Okay, without me even knowing anything about Elliott wave theory, basic technical analysis tells me that the trend is up. Okay, so without considering 112, 1112, me teaching you your ABCs, you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, you have a higher high. Price needs to form a higher low, and you continue momentum to the upside. The structure is still intact, and it's still in your best interest to look for longs. Basic technical analysis: higher highs, higher lows. It literally is as simple as that, legends. Okay, so now I want to zoom into this little structure over here. Okay, and the question is, can this now be completed? Yes, I think there is definitely a way in which you can count this. Yeah, that is some. I just want to see, where's my fresh. Here we go. Okay, this can be a WXY. It doesn't matter, guys. I see some people put their W over here, some people put their W over here. It doesn't really matter, but it's the last move that matters. So it does count way better as a corrective structure, whether this is a A, B, C, WXY, or even WXY, A, B, C. I don't care. It's a three-wave structure. It counts better. All the scenarios, they work to some degree. However you count this three-wave structure, it works. Okay, if I'm counting this as a W, okay, X, and this is now your Y wave that is formed, either completed or it's still going to make one more low. Okay, but there's a chance that your Y wave is completed in an A, B, C, and then now you have to count 5 waves inside of this structure. So to keep it simple, guys, I'm not going to go into too heavily technical over here, but if this is a W, your Y wave has to be a 3-wave structure. A, B, C. It has to be an ABC. Can't be anything else. Okay? There's a way that I can measure, well, did this bounce on a nice little ABC target? And this is a target that I highlighted yesterday in our pro community. As we were falling to the downside, I said, guys, keep an eye on this. A, B, and I reversed to the downside. You guessed it. Where did we bounce? If you had to guess, where did we bounce? Woo. 1.618 to perfection. Okay, I think we did this little bounce, and I showed the legends, and I said, legends, watch out. We're bouncing on the 1.618. Okay, we could also go to the 2, no problem. Okay, I highlighted the 2, and we also had a naked point of control a little bit higher up. I said, guys, if it still comes down again, okay, that's a SFP level that I'm paying attention to. This is an SFP level that I'm paying attention to, because in an A, B, C, this structure needs to have 5 waves. I can't count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I'll get to that in a moment. Right, so can I count 5 waves in this structure? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I just want to see if I didn't delete this. Right, so I actually have it all drawn out. So let me delete all of the noise over here. Let me clean up the chart. Okay, and this is basically what I spoke about yesterday, guys. Right, local ABC. This is what I was looking at last night. Okay, you have formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a contracting diagonal. And this could be the end over here, and now you want price to find upwards momentum. And for the bulls, what you really want to see as a sign of strength, okay, because I'm going to go to a slightly more bearish case scenario where we could take the high again, but for the bulls, a sign of strength and a little bit of confirmation would be for price to get acceptance back inside this range. Okay, price needs to get acceptance back inside of this range. Once price gets acceptance back inside of this range, then the bulls are going to, I think that they have a really good chance. But for now, they are outside of the range, which means the momentum can still continue to the downside. Right. Also, what I would like to see is I would like to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the retracement is going to be I want to see a 5-wave structure to the upside. I want to see a 3-wave corrective structure. That is where, it's a better confirmed way to get back into the trade. Wait for the 3-wave corrective structure after you see 5 waves to the upside. At the moment, price action is still too fresh. Okay. Because there is a slightly more bearish case scenario. Okay, so let me take this out the way and let's look at the structure again. There is a way that you could say, well, what if this is an ABC? Because now this is the difference between an ABC and a WXY. If this is an ABC to the downside, okay, then I would say it's not done. You can still come and claim these highs, of these lows. Because now you have to count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see? You can still come and claim the lows. But I'm still expecting the structure to the downside to come to an end very soon. So it's either done or it's still going to make one more low. And this is what this corrective structure is telling me. So if this is an AB that ended over here, your C wave has to have 5 waves. This is a very big 1 and 2, okay? You still need a bigger 4th wave, which could be in the formation now. You take the low one more time, and then your C wave is done in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Also, remember the rules for your 4th wave, not allowed to go into the territory of 1. So it's not ideal if it does go in, if price does continue here to the upside. Okay, and it taps this line. Okay, then you have to think about diagonals. Okay, contracting diagonals. Okay, so let's say it taps, it goes into the territory. I will draw a line over there. I will then take it from 1. So you have an expanding structure. It doesn't look pretty, guys. There's a higher chance that the low is in and an ABC, because can you see that if price, okay, so, okay, let me reverse, guys. If price continues to the upside and it taps this level, there's a high chance for the bulls that price is going to continue to the upside, because an expanding structure is rare, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. Okay, so this, guys, $115,000, 720. That's the level the bulls need to claim. This will be a very bullish level. Even after retracement, this is where I will be looking for longs. 5 waves up, 3-wave corrective structure and continuation, because an expanding diagonal is very rare. Okay, if price, let me take this out. Okay, if price does not tap this level, okay, just want to see from a fib perspective. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so if price does not tap this level and it starts falling down, then there's still a high chance it's going to claim the low. And that's perfectly fine, because I will be looking for this little 5th wave, basically a swing failure from the low. Price will dip below, it will get acceptance back above. This is where I'm interested in long. That's where my stop loss goes. And, so still, this is a juicy long that I will be looking for, because then it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not allowed to tap that line. If price continues to the upside, taps this line, well, I think it's going to be game on for the bulls. So as long as price does not claim this level, there's still a chance to claim this low. That's how I'm basically reading the chart at the moment. Right. Okay. If I had to choose, because I know that I'm going to get that question, Dewald, well, now if you had to choose between the WXY and the ABC, I would choose the WXY because of this structure. Okay. Because in a first wave, okay, you want to count a 5-wave structure to the downside, and the only way that a 5-wave structure here works is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an expanding diagonal, which I have said is rare, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. So it's this started with a very rare first wave structure, and this is why I'm giving the WXY the highest probability. Okay, so can switch this off. Based on technicals and from a probability perspective, an ABC makes more sense than a B, and all of this is your C wave. So there's a good chance that the low is in, but for confirmation, you want price to tap this level. So let's see how it plays out during the rest of today and tomorrow. Right, so my target for now is $115,000. Okay. Right. I want to see what XRP is doing, guys. I quickly want to show you what I've seen here on some of the altcoins as well. I looked here at XRP, and I'm going to show you guys ETH as well. I know a lot of you are interested in ETH, but if this is the top, okay, of most altcoins, and this is a 3-wave structure to the downside, can you see how beautifully these coins are tapping and retracement targets? Okay. This also looks like a WXY. Okay. Anyways, it looks like a 3-wave structure. Okay. It's a very deep retracement. For this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC and continuation to the downside, it's a very deep retracement. It counts way better as an A, B, okay, and then maybe you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe it can still come here to the 1-to-1 extension, eats up these lows, and then it bounces. Or it's a WXY, which is completed in an ABC, okay, and now it's going to break the trend. So if you want confirmation, for example, here on XRP, wait for the break of the trend. Okay, I did already get in over here on XRP. My position is protected. If I get stopped out and it goes to the next level, I don't lose any cash. But XRP was one that I was very interested in. Okay, so I actually took a trade here on XRP. I entered at around about 2.72, 2.72. That's where my entry is, because I saw the reaction at the 786. Love it. Just like we got the reaction at the 618. Okay, you could have entered, protect position. If you get stopped out, you lose nothing. I'm having another attempt, and if it wants to come down, I'll have another attempt. Okay, I do like these little 2 pivots over here. Right, also I want to talk about ETH, guys. Let's look at ETH. Wait for this to load up today, if it wants to. Okay, easy stuff. Maxi Dewald, how did you count this as a 3-wave without B getting in the zone or flat? I'm not sure which structure you're referring to, Patron. Oops, I'm too late for the masterclass, so we have now an ending diagonal. During, you're going to have to rewatch the LOL live stream. I've gone through all the scenarios. Okay, guys, I'm not sure why ETH took so goddamn long to load up over here. Okay. But anyways, guys, if, again, there's a couple of ways. Let's just look at ETH here on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, for some reason, everything is just started lagging like crazy over here. Okay. Right, so I was looking at this. This can either be the end, and this is A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a chance to still create another low over here. Okay, or this is the end of the impulse, and this is your A, B, C. But what was interesting also for me on ETH is the FIP target, guys. The FIP targets, yes, they are absolutely, if you want to trade, okay, day trade, you get in, you get out. Okay, if I take a trend-based FIP from this high to the low, to the high, look at where ETH bounced. I mean, oh, beautiful 1.618 bounce. Incredible 1.618 bounce. Also, if I take a trend-based FIP from this high to the low to the high, okay, yeah, not so pretty, but you can see it did get a reaction here by the 1.618, but the other one does look way better. So, you know, it does look like this could be your A, B, okay, and maybe, or your W, X, Y in a flat C. But then, you know, if this is C, I would still like, okay, if this is 1, 2, 3, I would still like a low to be taken over here. Okay, but for day trades, guys, these levels, hey, they are golden. These levels are golden. Right, I'm not going to spend too much time on altcoins legends because I see that people are not interested in altcoins at the moment. Everyone is very focused on Bitcoin. Dominance is still below trend. It still looks bearish, okay, although, you know, this can give some pain into the altcoins, but you have a high. It can still go up here, okay, create a lower high, and then we get another little altcoin season with this little dump here to the downside. It has lost momentum, okay, and a high amount of volume, which usually signifies the end of something and the beginning of something new. So this could be the top for dominance. And yes, when you get a spike up or correction like this, the altcoins will bleed. It is just what it is, right? But you form a lower high and you continue momentum to the downside, party is back. Everyone is excited again. Okay, and this is why I still have my swing trades open. I'm not closing them until I get, or if I get stopped out, at least I'll get stopped out at break even. I'll look for lower entries. Okay, right, legends, something very simple. Okay, let's keep it simple over here from a trend line perspective. Okay, let's do this. Right, we formed a bullish pennant and we lost it. You can see, okay, connect, and we lost it. Retest, okay. So now this is your first bullish sign. If price can start closing some high time frame candles back inside, this, ladies and gentlemen, could be classified as a deviation or a fake out. Okay, you have the fake out to the bottom because everyone was just way too bullish, including myself. Way too bullish inside of this triangle. You get the fake out, you scare the shit out of everyone, and then it breaks to the upside and it goes and it takes the high. Purely from a pattern perspective. Very normal, okay, to see fake outs before the true move starts to happen. So for now, the probabilities based on what I'm seeing now, here at the moment, the probabilities are still higher to take the high before we take the low. This counts better as a corrective structure, whether you count this as a WXY, whether you count this as a ABC or a WXY or a ABC, it doesn't really matter, guys. It's a three-wave structure. It counts better. The internal structures I'm not going to harp on too much, but also the trend-based FIPS, I mean, they are beautiful when you take your trend-based FIPS from the high to the lowest point of the structure to the highest point, okay. I think we got a bounce at the 786 if I'm not mistaken. Let's do this. There's a couple of FIP pools. Okay, yes, we got the reaction at the 786. Also very interestingly, if I take it to these highs over here, which tells me that it has to be part of a corrective structure, you tap the 786 to perfection. Anyways, right, legends, these are basically the levels. So for the bulls, you want to tap $115,000, 720. That will give the bulls a much higher chance to claim the high, okay, before taking the low, if you can tap this level. If price does not tap this level and it starts rolling down, there's a chance to claim the low again. Okay, so once this level is tapped, there's a higher chance to claim that high than this low. For now, the probabilities are still higher to claim this high before this low. Okay, legends, right, remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Let me go through a couple of comments over here. Dewald, what about the trading course? Is it still consolidating already for breakout soon? Jack, I'm working, so this is why I'm not doing a lot of YouTube updates, is because I'm working really hard on the course. I want to get it done. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things I didn't think about, and then I have to re-record certain sections and so forth. But yes, I am still working on the course. Okay, so thanks for the reminder. Right, can you check out Sui, guys? I'm not going to look at any other altcoins. I wanted to do just a quick little update here on the price of Bitcoin. I'm seeing the fear, and this is why I wanted to do the updates. I wanted to talk about the bullish case scenarios, the bearish case scenarios, and for now, the bullish case scenarios still carries higher probability than this being a C wave. Guys, if this is B, okay, on the macro time frame, if this is a B, and now we are going to dump here, okay, in a C wave, going sub for $60,000, okay, you have to start an impulse to the downside, and it's very difficult to count an impulse inside of the structure. Okay, ideally you want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I see that, I'm going to be like, guys, there's shit. But now we got a sideways consolidation, chopping, just the easiest way that I can explain it. When you see sideways price action overlapping, very choppy, it's usually a correction, okay, and that high is going to be claimed again, especially with the insane amount of bullish CVD at the moment. Right, legends, have yourself a fantastic Sunday. Go and spend the last couple of hours with some friends, family, put on a music, read a book, jump in the pool, walk your dog, whatever you do, just to, recharge yourself, get ready for the week. Have yourselves an amazing Sunday. Until the next one, cheers for now.